All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me today as we talk about how you can inspire employees through great workplace culture. It's amazingly simple and the results are incredible. So I believe that even in the most mundane roles or perceived mundane roles, at least, you can inspire employees through great culture. You can have them think out the box, innovate, want to be better, do the right thing, pave a way in that position just through a really good culture. So I compare culture with cake. And I know that might sound funny, but we all love cake. I especially like the ones with the Maltesers on it. So I compare culture with cake. It might sound weird, but hear me out on this. And later on, I'm going to get to why a cake and how you get to that cake, what conditions you need, what ingredients you need. But the perfect cake, what that looks like, imagine you're looking at the perfect culture cake for your business. What do you see? You see high productivity, profits and sales. You see people are there's a big family environment in the business. Everyone's working well together. People look forward to coming to the office. You're able to keep really good talent, and you're able to attract more talent. Absenteeism is low. Customers are raving about you. Customers are knocking on the door every 5 seconds. There's cohesion in the building. That's what the perfect cake looks like. Imagine if people enjoy what they do, they look forward to what they do, they'll excel at what they do. Imagine you as a business owner or a leader, and you have a business or employees who feel that way about their business. They feel like they'd like to come to the work every day, and they feel like they want to be there. They will excel at it if they enjoy being there. So anyway, my name is Clayton. Just wanted to give you the quick cake example first. But my name is Clayton, and this is my very first webinar on this platform, my first training session on a platform like this. So if I disappear for a few minutes, that's probably because I pressed the wrong button. Please, I do ask you to stay seated, remain seated. The show will continue. I will come back on as soon as I can. And I know I've given myself only a half an hour to get through everything. Why I did that, I don't know, but we'll see how we go. Please feel free to ask any questions as we go along. I will try and get to the questions as much as I can during the seminar or during the webinar. I can't always do 2 things at a time, so I promise to address questions at the end. But if you want to, you can already start writing in the chat box about what do you feel is great culture. What does great culture look like? What's good about your culture? Maybe some challenges you faced. If I don't get to the questions at the end, I promise to direct mail you and reach out to you with some answers from your questions and at least try and address them. So who am I? Who am I to tell you about culture? Well, I spent 17 years working in call centers, and 14 of those years were as a manager or I ran call centers. So in a call center, that's a very strange place because call centers struggle to keep people. No one puts up their hand at career day in school and says, "Oi, I want to work in a call center," but yet so many people find themselves there, especially when they're early in their careers. It's a great time to have them step into a culture that inspires them immediately and paves the way for them for the rest of their lives. It's very, very important to have that cohesion there. So let me share a story that happened to me. When I became a manager of a call center back in 2007, 2008, it was roughly 150 people at the time. And I had just become the manager, and we got a new director. Although she had been in the company for many years, she was from a different country. So she came from our Irish office. She was an American lady. She's still my mentor today. And when she started, she immediately showed a genuine interest in me. I was just a brand new manager. She showed a genuine interest in me. She gave me the wheels to the bus, and she said, "Clayton, you drive this thing." Obviously, she helped me and guided me along the way. But what I find myself doing is I was digging my heels in and giving 150% to this cause, trying to make this call center work. Just before I became the manager, we had a Great Places to Work employee engagement survey, and we only scored 70% as a department, which was really poor. So here I was working 150% to try my best to get everything up and running. And I was doing all of this, and I realized very quickly I was doing all of this and giving all this effort because here's this person who values me, who trusts me, who sees something in me they want to nurture and develop. And for that reason, I don't want to disappoint them. They showed faith in me. I want to prove them right. And this kind of really resonated with my personality. And I did this onto my team leaders, who did this onto the agents, and we created an incredibly successful call center. We created a safe place where people could be themselves. We respected and valued the call center agents. When you work on a small basic high commission, your salary is unstable. So we understood that and gave people the right, the right respect. We didn't have the why or how we do things conversations. We had the why we do things. This company was selling holidays. And we were the purpose, the why we existed. We were sending people on massive holidays. As soon as the agents realized that they were playing a huge role in someone's selfies on Instagram or someone's selfies on Facebook, that gave them a purpose. You're not just sending someone on a holiday, yeah? You're playing a massive part in their memories. And as soon as they had a purpose and we have all of this safe space, we created an incredible call center. And all of this cost us absolutely nothing. It just cost us some time and effort and believing in people. So again, no matter how mundane the job or the role, you can find an inspiration through a great culture. What that manager or director did to me is she lit the flame and watched the fireworks. She just stood back and watched the fireworks. So how does disengagement happen? Disengagement doesn't just happen. In the last 3 months, I have met with 120 people, business owners, many of them solopreneurs, many of them with employees. Just a quick word on the solopreneurs. It's never too early to start your culture. Culture starts with one. All the habits you are doing now as a sole business trader, all the habits, routines, processes you've put in place will be mimicked by any potential new starters you take on board. So you want to make sure that that's right. And when the new starter hits the floor or hits the ground, they want to buy into your why. Why do you exist? What do you want to achieve? They want to buy into that immediately and slowly but surely fall in love with your company or your business as much as you do. So even solopreneurs can start thinking about what they want their culture to look like. What are their values? All these business owners I met over the last 3 months, and it took a lot of time. 120 people is a lot of half an hour with Zoom calls. What I realized was they've all got lots of things in common. They're very talented people, they're very driven, very good at what they do, and they have taken a business and made a success from that. I've only been in business for 7 months, and for me, that's very admirable. It inspires me to go further, and I listen to these people and I got great advice from them. But lots of the business owners who have employees told me the same thing. My staff let me down. Why are they not passionate? They're always on social media. And of course, when you're a business owner or a leader, you've got a lot more skin in the game. For you, it makes a lot more sense to have, for you, it feels like you're more passionate than other people because it's natural. It's your baby, the business, or if you're a leader, you're in a position now of more responsibility. There's more eyes on you. You feel more that you have more passion maybe than your staff, and you feel they're not passionate enough. So I get that. But staff don't just become disengaged. No one wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to do my worst. No one does that. There's always positive intent, and slowly but surely people emotionally disengage from the office if something hasn't happened or something has happened to get them disengaged. Some of the signs you can get to look for or to watch out for when there is disengagement are things like low performance. So when you start disengaging from your job, you start thinking less about it, thinking less of it, and your quality dips. So does your performance. You miss deadlines. You miss interactions with customers, which is really, really bad. Negativity happens. You start spreading negativity too if you're disengaged, which is a big red flag and can spread very quickly. You throw spanners in the works that things don't happen for you. You have low motivation. Absenteeism increases because you don't find value in the job anymore. So it's easier for you to phone in sick. There's low trust. You think everything, you're skeptical about everything. If someone mentions something, especially a leader, you think, oh, yeah, we go. What's the catch? So you kind of understand and start feeling that way about the business. You also become invisible, which is what you've heard now recently on LinkedIn and all over the working environment about quiet quitting. So people just become invisible. They want to do as little as possible and not contribute, just under the radar. Please don't give me a task. I'm just yet to earn my salary. That's all I want to do and go home. Now, these behaviors don't just happen. They don't just happen. Something happened to get them there, or something did not happen. Now, when you are emotionally engagement or employee engagement is the emotional connection you have to your business. If you start disconnecting, you lose that emotional connection. The best way to fight this or to stop this negativity or stop this disengagement is to talk, is to communicate with your staff. If it's individual, it's very simple to, and it's not always easy. These kinds of things are tough conversations. Lots of us avoid tough conversations, but it's easy to talk to someone and say, hey, you know what? I've noticed you're distracted. I've noticed you're not putting in as much effort into the project you were so passionate about a couple of weeks ago. What's happened? Let's talk. And that's when you listen. Listen more than anything and talk less. You might find out that it's something, maybe they feel something's unfair. Maybe the staff member feels they're not being paid enough. Maybe there's a perception that they have that everyone's paid more than them, but that's not the case. Might be. Maybe they feel that there's not enough people in the role for them to do their job, and therefore they're under pressure. A couple of years ago, they were said, listen here, we're going to give you some extra responsibility. I know it's going to be hard, but we are looking to employ someone to take on that responsibility. So it's only temporary. This turns into months, turns into years, and that person is still doing 2 jobs, and that reason they're disengaged. It could be a misunderstanding. There's also the saying that people join an organization but leave leadership. So someone might, the manager might be micromanaging them or not giving them any value, or the whole hierarchical speak when spoken to kind of attitude, and they don't like that. They're disengaged from that. Maybe they weren't competent enough to do the job in the first place. So they've started this job, but don't have the skills to do it. They're too ashamed to say that, and they just start disengaging. But you have to talk and listen to them to find out what it was that disengaged the staff in the first place. And then you can start identifying ways you can get them back to engagement, back to loving what they do. Imagine how it must feel if you spend the majority of your days at the office in work, but you don't like what you do. It must be an absolutely horrible feeling. If there's no value for you, that must be such a low and lonely feeling. If it's a wider issue in the business where more people are getting disengaged, then what you could do is a stop, start, continue. I've been in 2 businesses where we've done a stop, start, continue, and a stop, start, continue works really well. Anonymously, I'm just going to admit someone to the meeting. While I admit Neil to the meeting, I'm just going to look at some questions. People are happy and secure because the business and their colleagues are all aligned. 100%, Kim, 100%. Okay, I hear what you're saying, Claire. That is sometimes a bit difficult. Different departments sometimes have a little bit of legacy with them too, so it isn't easy to have the same voice or the same message across everyone. That's for sure. So back to the stop, start, continue. When you have a stop, start, and continue, you collate all the information. You ask on a piece of paper. People can write down anonymously what the company should stop doing, what the company should start doing, and what the company should continue doing. You collate all this information, put it on a whiteboard, and have focus groups with the whole company. In those focus groups, you can really identify what it is and discuss solutions. Even sometimes there might be things that are totally out of scope. Oh, we all want more money. Sometimes that can't be possible, but that needs to be addressed to say, listen, guys, this is what it looks like. This is transparency. We can't all have more money. So those kinds of meetings work really well. And the companies I've worked for, they work like a charm. What we were able to do in those meetings is we identified quick wins. As a leader or a business owner, a quick win is your best friend because it's something that you can use very quickly to show that you've listened, to show that you care, and to start building that trust with the staff. So quick wins, you also identify fundamental issues that might need a bit more elbow grease to get through, and then you also can identify long-term solutions. What I absolutely love about those stop, start, continues is in those meetings, people typically put up their hand to join what we call a champion team. The champion team then runs with all the little tasks. It's not their responsibility, but they are like a team that runs with things and says and feeds back to the rest of the business to say, we heard you on this is what we're doing, and what we're implementing, this is how long it's going to take, and all that kind of stuff. So stop, start, continues work really, really well with disengagement. Now I'm going to talk about the steps to great culture. And I remember in the beginning, I spoke about, sorry, let me just get back to my. In the beginning, I spoke about the cake. So my method is very simple, or my methods are simple. I was told, please don't say you're simplistic. So my methods are simple. John Ruskin said, it's far more difficult to be simple than it is to be complicated. And many times we overcomplicate things with ginormous frameworks, and really culture is something you're drawn to because you're allowed to be yourself. It's at the end of the bare bones, at the end of the day, it's not overcomplicated. And it can work really well if you know what you're doing. So remember I mentioned that very perfect culture cake in the beginning of the session. The one with all the productivity is high. People love each other, love what they do, work cohesively together. Customers are raving about you. To get to that perfect cake, you need the right conditions. Now, we all know that when you bake a cake, I don't know if you guys have baked a cake, but if you bake a cake, the oven needs to be just right. If it's too hot or too cold, the cake will flop. The timing needs to be right. If you put it in for too long, you'll burn the cake. Too little, the cake will be too moist or too floppy and it will flop. So you need to have the right conditions to start thinking about creating that great culture cake. The correct conditions, or the perfect conditions, are a healthy environment where there's a sense of safety for people to stick up their hand and maybe challenge something, stick up their hand and say, listen, yeah, I've got a suggestion, and not be ridiculed for that. It's a place where people respect each other, are willing to listen to each other and willing to give feedback. It's a place where leaders are accessible and the conditions also are open and clear. Communication needs to be present. If all those things are present, you can start baking your perfect culture cake. Now, for the perfect culture cake, you're going to need ingredients. The ingredients for the perfect culture cake is the following. Now, this can also obviously be different from business to business. Culture is not something you can copy and paste. You need to kind of understand what makes that company or that leader or that team tick and find out how that's going to work. So, Man United and Celtic are both football teams. They both have football players, they both have football fans, they both have football stadiums, but you can't sing Celtic songs at Old Trafford. It's not going to go down very well. It won't work. So you can't copy and paste solutions. But these ingredients should always try and be there to make that perfect cake. So these ingredients are, there should be a clear understanding from everybody why you exist. What is the business looking to achieve? Who do you serve? How do you make a difference? Why do you want to achieve that? What's the purpose of that? The values need to resonate with everyone and need to be very, very clear and tangible. So, for example, values mean different things to different people. If you think about respect, people think about respect differently. So it's very important to tangibly define what respect looks like in your business. Is respect having your camera on a Zoom call? Is respect having your phone off in a meeting? Is respect turning up for a customer at the right time when you said you were going to? So all those things can be established by the greater company or by the greater team. So values, and then values should guide decisions and guide employees. If employees are faced with a problem, the values should be able to guide them to find that solution. And then what are the behaviors required for those? What are the behaviors required for from all the employees to achieve that perfect culture cake? So those are the 4 ingredients, the main ingredients that are needed for this cake to get to where it's going to rise and become a beautiful cake. Now, once your cake is ready, while it's baking and becoming this perfect culture cake, like we spoke about in the beginning, this culture cake is rising, you're going to start witnessing things in your business or your team. You're going to start witnessing them really getting stuck in together with a warm connectedness, solving tough problems together inwardly. You're going to see them have a deep responsibility to the business and to their customers. They're going to feel accountable. They're going to hold each other accountable. They're going to be very committed and do great things when no one's watching. And there's going to be a massive sense of belonging. They're going to know exactly where they stand, and they're going to know exactly how they contribute to the greater team. There's a very famous basketball coach called Greg Popovich. He's the basketball coach for the San Antonio Spurs. He's world famous for a great culture. His players don't leave, and his players play for the greater team, not for individual glory. And when one of his coaches, his assistant coaches, was asked to describe Greg Popovich, they said, he'll tell you the truth and he'd love you to death. That is the perfect culture. A great work environment is when there's pizzas on Fridays and funny sock day and gym nights. That's a great work environment, and those are things are important. But a great culture is where the team can inwardly look into it together and solve problems without having to do status checks. Can I say something? Can I say something? Who's leading this thing? They can do it together with being themselves without ridicule. Back to my story in the beginning of that call center. We finished at 70% on the Great Places to Work employee engagement survey. After my director had done all those wonderful things to me, and I did those wonderful things to my team leaders, and they did that to their agents, and we created this incredible place, we scored 92% 12 months later. Those call center agents are still there today. They don't leave because it's a family environment. When external trainers came to our call center, They used to be flabbergasted by how long the tenure was of the agents. 8, 9 years for sales agents with a massive, with a heavily weighted commission versus basic salary. How, that's a pressure environment, normally a 2-year lifespan. How is this possible? And all because we created a culture where people are inspired. So again, guys, this is a very quick webinar. My name is Clayton. I own a company called Growth Group, started 7 months ago, and I help business get to that perfect cake. I do, like, as I said earlier, it's not a copy and paste solution for everyone. I work with the company to understand what they would like to achieve. Not every shoe, I'll find the shoe that fits you. I promise I won't sell you the most expensive stiletto if you only need a little bit of tweaking here and there. I work with leaders on a one-to-one basis. I work with business owners and corporates, and I do consulting, coaching, and mentorship. If any of you would like to have a half-an-hour session just to have a chat about culture, I love, it's my absolute bread and butter. So I love talking about culture. Please let me know, reach out to me, and I will have a chat with you. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me today. I will send out the recording over the weekend to everybody. I'll make sure that the people that joined early, your faces and stuff like that won't be on the recording. But thank you very much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. If there's any other questions, oh wait, sorry, there is a question. 1 second. Sorry, thanks, Neil. How long does it take to change a culture in a business that is over 100 years old with an average employee service of 13 years, with many people who have 40 years service? Ooh, that is a very good question. It starts at the top. How long will it take? I would say at least 6 months to start feeling the effects of a good culture change. A stop, start, continue with something like this could work really well. You also need to find out why are they staying? Is it because is it employee owned? Do they have money invested in this company, so they're just sticking by to get the retirement money? So if they leave, they don't get that. Is it that kind of stuff? And once you establish the reasons why, then you can start working on a culture together. So a stop, start, continue can work really well in that case, Neil. But I would say at least 6 months for a company like that with such a tenure to start finding that. That difference. Any other questions, guys? I think that's it. Well, then we can leave it right there. Thank you very much for joining me today. I really super appreciate it. Look out for the recording, and I will chat to you all again soon. Thanks very much for joining me today. Goodbye.